Welcome to Live Vedanta, a podcast about simple living and high thinking. Each week, we join Vivek Gupta as he offers insights on bringing the divine into the daily. We're so grateful to all of you who have contributed thus far to our Elevate Her Story campaign to benefit the Journey Center for Safety and Healing in Cleveland, Ohio. We're still welcoming your donations to our 2023 efforts, and you can learn more about how to contribute through the link in our show notes. On this week's episode, we've all been told how fortunate we are to have what we have, but do we actually appreciate all our blessings? What role models will it take to unleash our potential so that we use these blessings to serve society? Let's tune in to hear how we can scale the stairway to serenity, step by step.
Hari Om, and greetings from Niagara Falls. To my limited understanding of science, physics particularly, everything around me, including me, is made up of molecules. All of our scientists, is that a fair statement? And what are molecules made up of? Atoms. What are atoms made up of? Electrons, protons, neutrons, the God particle. Yet, most of a molecule in an atom is space. You've all learned that before. Intellectually, we can resonate with this in terms of outer space. In terms of the atmosphere, even in terms of this home, there's more space than there are walls. But imagine the significant amount of reflection that would be needed to feel the same way about our body. I'm touching my hand, yes, but scientifically, it's just a probability that matter happens to hit matter, and that space is not prevalent. Fine. Now visualize how much more significant reflection is needed when we read, when we hear Tattvamasi, that you are divine. In the world, we would say, you are God. In this class, we'll say, you are infinity. This is why our philosophy has been written in a language that demands reflection. Every word, every quarter, every sentence. For all of you who are part of Meaningful Mornings, I struggle to be able to share 2 lines in 15 minutes. 2 lines. And when we reflect on a word, on a philosophy, to the extent that we're supposed to, inevitably, we start to practice that. Because as you think, so you develop. This course is designed for us to be exposed to such a system. A philosophy written in a language that demands reflection so that we practice. I hope, as we now complete 2 months of this course, that you have a greater understanding and appreciation of the words that you've read and heard 10 times, 100 times, how much more meaning there is to them. Reviewing our 17th word, upasana. Upasana means to emulate. In our culture, we do not promote and we do not find pride in the sense of being self-made. That is a very capitalistic, secular mindset, that I'm a self-made, in my case, self-made man. In our culture, it's the more people that help you, the more people that are benefited. That's what we promote. That is a source of pride. To emulate, earlier I'd shared with all of you that we have to learn to love our scripture. Do you all remember that? And a pivotal way to do this is to understand and appreciate that we need a scripture. If we need an entity, it's easier to love. The same applies with upasana. We need role models. We need examples of those who are resilient. And knowing that we need this, we should learn to love those we emulate. Word 18 is papa. Papa means worldliness. And how this is experienced every day is when one feels that pleasure and or possession and or position equals what? Peace. A worldly person feels the more pleasure, the more possession, the more position I have, the more peaceful I will be. But that is a lie. They are lying to themselves, and others are lying to them also. Our 19th word, relatedly, is punya. And punya means goodness. Goodness. One who's practicing goodness is sensitive to their needs, and so naturally is sensitive to another's needs too. And in this sensitivity, they come to understand and appreciate that what they need is not external, but rather is internal. And that is why they don't expect any sort of reciprocity from anyone else. A good person is good, period. There's no exchange there. And I'll give you one more reference on how to practice goodness. In the Ramayana, Sri Rama teaches Sugriva what mitra dharma is. Mitra dharma, which means what does it mean to be a friend? And one of the characteristics is one who guides a friend from the wrong path to the right path. Or in other words, from papa to punya. Now analyze. Do you have these types of friends in your life who will tell you that you're being worldly, who will tell you that you should live for peace? And are you that type of friend? And the implication of this is you have to know the right path to guide someone there, correct? So goodness or punya. And our 20th word, rina, which means gift. In our culture, the 14th samskara, which means a rite, R-I-T-E, is called Pancha Maha Yajna. Pancha means 5, Maha means great, Yajna means givings. 5 great givings. And the specifics of this is nature's forces, nature's beings, society, lineage, and guide culture. That's the Guru Shishya Parampara, are giving to us in a great way, like gravity and worms and firefighters and language and how to be happy. And once we're mature enough, we have to engage in these great givings back. Once we're mature enough, those who are immature, they only take. Those who are mature, they give. Only with these great givings does creation or humanity survive. Does creation or humanity thrive? I'll give you an example. How many of you study business? How many of you have studied business? One way to value a company is to see if it's an ongoing entity. If it's not going to be around next year, then it's not a very valuable company. The longer it will be around, the more valuable it will be. When we understand and appreciate how much we've been gifted, we feel grateful, so we become generous and we pay it forward so that nature's forces and nature's beings and society, all of this is an ongoing entity, correct? Now just think about nature's forces and nature's beings. They're giving to us. Are we giving back? Or are we taking more? So what will happen then? Obviously, creation, the environment is not going to be an ongoing entity, at least not for us. See how powerful these words are. I'm sure many of you have heard of the pancharinas before, but see it in action. The implication is make sure everything that you're doing, you're paying it forward. So everything's an ongoing entity. We continue. That was our review. New content. Our 21st space, headspace word is sankalpa. Sankalpa. In English, this means resolve. Resolve, resolution. The etymology of this word, kalpa, means to change. Samkalpa means to change well. A significant change. Me changing my t-shirt, I took a sankalpa today. Now think about your own life. When did you make a significant change in your life? Think practically and share in the chat. When you felt you made a significant change in your life, what was that change? And more specifically, what triggered that change? What caused this? You started to reflect, but what made you think about reflecting? A career change, getting married, meaningful mornings, well said. 100 steps to infinity. I feel what helped us to change is when we were challenged. If you look at many of the responses, someone wrote, being a parent, another wrote, getting married, another wrote, a career change, another wrote, a course. Being challenged helps us to change well. What's unique about a sankalpa is this challenge doesn't come from the outside. This is not the ice bucket challenge. This is not the turmeric challenge. This is not the yoga challenge. All of those have come from outside, but you challenge yourself. That is a sattvic way or an independent way of growing. A rajasic way is when others challenge you. Like suppose I'm racing with you, you know, you're challenged, so you run faster. But to challenge yourself. And a way to live up to this challenge. Earlier, and I'm not going to say when, because you're all going to start guessing now. I was speaking to a couple who is going through some difficulties with each other. And one of the questions they asked me was, how do we build trust in each other? And my response to them was to feel that there's no plan B, that there's no plan B, that you have no option but to trust each other. If you feel that there's a plan B, then you're playing mind games with each other, correct? When you challenge yourself, there is no plan B. Be determined to fulfill this challenge. And I've shared with all of you many times now, between the age of 0 and 23, which is quite a few of you, the training in your life is known as vrata samyama, which means to be trained in commitment. Only with such training can you build your personality and contribute to society. But if you lack commitment, then I feel that one is a taker rather than a giver. Sankalpa. Word 22, guru. The English word, guide. Now, some of you may have seen the word Sadguru. What that means is Sat, S-A-T. Because of Sanskrit grammar rules, it becomes Sadguru. Please do not pronounce it as Sadguru. You all need a Sadguru in your life. You already have one. A Satguru in Sanskrit is a Sadguru. This is a personality who teaches us about infinity. Another word for Sat is infinity, or our potential. With this teaching, it's almost like this subject, which was veiled to us, has now been unveiled. Many of you are thinking of the technical definition of guru, which means the one who destroys darkness. So I've already stated that too. But here's the critical point. Their teaching unveils our potential. Their living, how they live, unleashes that potential. That is quite different, correct? Have you all seen the movie Ferris Bueller's Day Off? If you haven't, what are you doing in this course? So many of you have. And Ferris Bueller's friend's father has this fancy car, and it's covered with a tarp. And so they take this tarp off and they're admiring it. And then naturally, what does Ferris Bueller want to do? Unleash it. See? Unveiling, unleashing is different, yes? So that is the difference between, we'll say, a typical teacher. They only unveil, but what a guru does is unleashes in you. One's guru traditionally is known as one's metaphysical parent. Please listen to that carefully. We all have, whether alive or not, whether we had a good relationship with them or not, we all had a physical mother and father, or some combination of that. But a guru is a metaphysical parent. They are the best of our mother and the best of our father combined. And that's why we chant, Tvameva Mata Pita Tvameva. Who are we referring to? To one's guru. It is so evident about this in Bhagavad Gita, where Sri Krishna continuously calls Prince Arjuna Tata, which means son, even though they're cousins of the same age, but he calls him son. so lovely. For some of you, guru, guide, metaphysical parent, this is too hard to relate to. And I'll tell you why. You will not like the reason why. And the fact that you don't like it shows how much it applies to you. I read a quote today that said, don't confuse having a career with having a life. For many, what is their life? A career. But here, now I'm spinning it to, don't confuse having a family with having a life. The majority of seekers I know feel that their life is their family. And a minority of these seekers feel that their family is their spiritual practice or is their altar, a minority. And that's my point. Those who feel their family is their life, they can never be humble enough to know that there's someone more than who they are, as in a mother or a father. Are you all reflecting on what I'm sharing? Keep an open mind. And this will actually be part of your discussion. We continue. Word 23, space 23 is krpa, which in English means grace. Krpa, or grace. You tell me before I share with you. What does grace feel like? How do you know you have grace and another person doesn't, or the other way around? There's an abundance, there's blessings, there's a shower of love. Okay, when you're accepting, that's something that's more defined. I feel like what you're sharing is still too poetic. In a tactile sense, what grace is when you have a thought to change. And obviously change for the better, to evolve. I'm going to start sleeping an extra hour a day. That is grace. Well, it sort of is grace for those who don't sleep enough. It is the thought to change. And this thought pulls in a system to change. The thought pulls in a system to change. And here's what this system is. You've heard it before. I'll share it again. There are 4 layers of grace in our lives. The topmost layer is called Bhagwan's krpa, the grace of God. That is triggered by Shastra krpa, which is the grace of the scripture. That is triggered by Sadguru krpa, which is guide's grace. The guide is the one who orients us towards the scripture orients us towards God. Now tell me, what triggers a guide's grace? That's right, Swakripa. A student's grace or a disciple's grace. Sometimes this is called Atma Kripa, when you grace yourself. When you're more reflective, so you work smarter, not just harder, but you work smarter. That's when the reality of this system, a Sadguru will come into your life, the Shastra will come into your life, Bhagwan will come into your life. A way to nurture Kripa is to create quiet time in your day. How many of you feel that you were able to experience at least 1 hour of quiet time today? By show of hands. there's not so many hands. And if I can generalize in a polite way, those who are older, they had their hands up more. And what's fascinating about that, those who had their hands up actually have more responsibilities than those who didn't have their hands up. I know lots of you, so I'm sharing this in an objective way. Quiet time. Why? Because quiet time helps you to quieten your mind particularly. A quiet mind is one that can ignore thoughts to devolve and focus on thoughts to evolve. Quiet time, quieten. And I will just briefly begin sharing. The 24th word is prasada. Prasada, which means blessing. Krpa is grace, prasada is blessing. For those who know about this traditional practice, before you eat, you prepare a plate of food. Whatever you're going to eat, that same food is prepared on a beautiful plate. It's clean, it's organized. There's not Parmesan cheese all over the place and hot sauce that's spilling over the bread and so on. And who do you offer this to? You offer this to your original parent, correct? Bhagwan. What is that called? What is this offering called in Sanskrit? As you're all sharing, Naivedya. Naivedya. Okay, try to remember that. So I offer this, let's say, to the altar behind me. I offer this to Hanumanji. Do you think Hanumanji eats what I offer him? Do you see the dal on his chin right now? Hanumanji, the more sincere I am, it's as if, what does Hanumanji do to that food then? That naivedya? He turns it into prasada. All that comes from the creator, original parent, Bhagwan, God, these are all synonyms. All that comes from her, from him, is prasada. So now tell me, what doesn't come from God? Answer that question. What doesn't come from God? Nothing. So all in our life is a blessing. For those who are sitting beside someone right now, look at them. Say, you are a blessing. For those who are sitting in a messy area right now, look at that mess. Say, you are a blessing. And very practically, if you feel this, why? This is a philosophy written in a language that is to be reflected upon and to be practiced. Here are 3 things that you will stop doing. First, you'll slow down in doing them, and then you'll stop doing them. Number 1, complaining. Deeper than that. First, you have to stop complaining. Then you can address the more deep negativity, which is blaming. Yes, I may complain about politics and the news, but blaming is more negative. It's more harsh. And when you stop blaming, then this deepens to you stop annotating. Annotating, in simpler words, means excusing. Excusing who? Yourself. Complaining is general. Again, I said politics, weather. Blaming is another person, but excusing, you excuse yourself, correct? I am an exception, so I don't have to be part of the reflection at 8:45. I'm an exception, so I don't have to do the raws. That's all annotations. That's where you don't feel this blessing or prasada. Awesome. All that we're experiencing is ashcharya, which means awesome.
If you enjoyed what you heard or want to learn more, share this episode with a friend or find us online at facebook.com/cmniagara. For those on the journey of self-development, Chinmaya Mission Niagara provides a community forum for seekers to listen, reflect, and contemplate. This podcast is produced by the Young Adults of Chinmaya Mission, an international nonprofit working to transform individuals through the knowledge of Vedanta. Until next time, inspire, love, be.